Hey, Freddy with CJ Pony Parts. There's a lot of aftermarket exhausts available for the F-150 EcoBoost. We know you guys love exhaust and sound clip videos, so we're going to try to show you a few different options for the EcoBoost F-150. We've previously installed an aftermarket exhaust on our truck, and today we're going to be installing a Roush Performance exhaust on our EcoBoost F-150. This Roush Performance exhaust is a direct fit replacement for all 2015 through 2017 F-150s and features 3-inch stainless steel mandrel-bent tubing with a side exit tailpipe and dual tips. This exhaust features a straight-through muffler design and a front extension pipe that can be trimmed to fit any wheelbase F-150. If you're not sure which wheelbase F-150 you have, just grab a tape measure and measure from the center of the front wheel to the center of the back wheel, and in our case, it's 145 inches. Tools you'll need for this installation: a lift or a jack and jack stands, a 3/8 ratchet, 10mm socket, 12mm socket, 13mm socket, 15mm socket, an extension, 24mm wrench, a tape measure, a marker, and something to cut the pipe such as a sawzall and safety glasses. Removing the factory exhaust is actually really easy. There's only 3 bolts that we have to loosen, 1 right here and 2 up front. Grab yourself a 13mm socket for these front bolts and break them loose. If your truck has some miles on it, you may need some penetrating lubricant for these. They could be rusty. Now we can move on to the 3rd bolt. Grab yourself a 15mm socket and loosen this clamp. Now it's just a matter of taking the exhaust apart. With this clamp loosened, this pipe still won't pull off the exhaust. There's actually a locking pin up top in a groove. You have to twist the exhaust and then push it forward. This is the locking tab I was telling you about. You gotta twist it to get the tab here so you can pull it out. Now all you have to do is pull the exhaust towards the rear of the truck to remove it from the 4 mounts that secure it in place. A little bit of spray lubricant will really help you out with this. This front pipe that's included in the Roush exhaust can be cut to fit any wheelbase truck. Since ours is a 145-inch wheelbase, it needs to be cut to 42 inches, so we made a mark right here. You can use any method you want to cut it. We're going to be using a sawzall. This part isn't entirely necessary, but to make it a little bit easier to install and safer, I'm going to file off the edges. We can now install the new exhaust. The first thing that we're going to do is loosen up this nut on the leaf spring mount. There's going to be a mount that goes here. You don't have to remove this nut, just loosen it a couple threads. To loosen this nut, you're going to need a 24mm wrench and a 12mm socket. Install the new front flange using the factory bolts. You don't want to make this tight yet, you just want to loosely install this. Take the new outlet pipe with the hangers facing towards the front of the truck, put it up and over the axle and into the factory mounts. I'm going to take this hanger mount off. It's going to make it a lot easier to install this pipe. It's just a 10mm bolt that you have to remove. Put the mount on the hanger. Take one of the 3-inch clamps, slide it over the front flange. Then take your intermediate pipe, put it in the hanger. And then get it into the front flange. You don't need to tighten this yet, just get it loosely installed. Grab the muffler, put clamps on both ends, and take the flanged end and put it towards the front of the truck. We can now install the tip section. Grab the mount that's provided, slide it over the hanger, and put the tip over the tailpipe. Put a clamp over the pipe. Get this pretty even. Now you can tighten up the leaf spring mount. Now install the tips. With everything loosely in place, we can now tighten everything up. We're going to start at the front and work our way back. And your installation's finished. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. To answer everyone's question, does it sound like a V8? No, this doesn't sound like a V8. That's not what this truck is. It's not a V8, it's a V6. It's not trying to sound like a V8. The exhaust isn't designed to make it sound like a V8. If you're going for that V8 sound, you're not going to get it. But it still sounds good. It's not loud. At idle, with the windows up or with the windows down, you can barely tell that there's an aftermarket exhaust on this. Even at idle, you can barely tell there's an exhaust on this truck. It's very quiet. I mean, just listen. All you can hear is traffic. You can't tell there's an exhaust. And getting on it, it sounds pretty good. It's got a really good tone to it. I'm not giving it much thought at all. We're just accelerating a little bit, and it sounds pretty good. It's not loud. There's no drone. It sounds really good. You can hear the turbos a little bit through the exhaust. It's pretty nice. Coasting, you can't hear anything. You hear road noise, you hear the tires, you don't hear the exhaust. It's pretty nice. Now we're gonna get on a little bit. It sounds pretty good. It's got a nice tone. There isn't any drone at all. This is very manageable. You could definitely put this on your truck and go on a long road trip and your ears would not be hurting. You can barely, at cruising speed, 55 miles an hour, you can hardly tell. It's great. But then when you want to hear it, you can hear it. It's nice. It sounds really good, and even at full throttle, it's not that loud. This is nice. You're not going to make anyone angry with this exhaust. You're not going to annoy anybody. It's not going to hurt anyone's ears. You're not going to make your neighbors mad pulling into your driveway. It's a really good mixture of being just loud enough to where you can hear it, but being quiet to where you're not going to make anyone mad while sounding good. It's the perfect mixture. So my overall impressions for this exhaust, it's great. It fit really well, wasn't hard to install, and it sounds awesome. I like it a lot. Our Roush Performance exhaust is installed. It looks great. It sounds great. Installation should take you about 2 hours, and before you know it, you'll be heading down the road.